Hi, everybody. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us in our 2024 Government Contracting Summer Shorts Complimentary Webinar Series. First, a little bit about Jennifer Strauss & Associates. We are based in downtown Washington, D.C. with a focus on advising established federal contractors. Our clients are companies who sell products, services, or software to the federal government and range from large businesses to mid-sized firms with millions in federal contracts. Separate from our consulting services, we have amassed a subscriber base of almost 35,000 in our weekly newsletter, The Federal Contractor Weekly. We offer advertising opportunities in the newsletter, including sponsored content newsletters and webinars. If you are interested in reaching federal contractors, please email us and ask for a media kit. Now a bit about this series. As always, our webinars are complimentary and recorded. You can find all of our recordings on our YouTube channel simply by subscribing to it using the link you see on the screen. There is no cost. You can find all of our PowerPoints on the slideshare.net site using your LinkedIn credentials to log in. Again, there is no cost. And now some more details about the series. We started the series on Monday, August 12th, and it will conclude today on August 23rd. Our guest speakers covered various GovCon topics and focus on the areas, best practices, common pitfalls, and FAQs. At the end of the webinar, we will open up the floor to questions, so please type them into the control panel as we go, and I will read them in the order they are received. They will be read anonymously. Here's a glimpse of our speakers, leading ladies in federal contracting. Each speaker covers a hot topic in federal contracting. And here are more images of the ladies you heard from last week and this week. Again, please remember, you can find the full schedule and also the recordings, including those from last week, on our website under the tab Webinars. For all of our 700 plus webinars, please hop over to our complimentary YouTube channel. Our webinars are complimentary thanks to our longtime and kind sponsors. We would like to thank our friends at GovEvents, the premier platform for posting events related to government and government contracting. You can find all of our webinars and our events at govevents.com, as well as recordings from our past 700 plus webinars. We also want to thank Tom Johnson and his team at Set Aside Alert, the go-to publication for contracting opportunities for small, women-owned, veteran-owned, HubZone, and 8A firms. Visit setasidealert.com for more information. Also, Fairfax County Economic Development Group is a great resource for businesses in Northern Virginia. Please visit their calendar to learn about events and trainings, including this webinar series. Now I want to let you know about our complimentary webinar series on big tech and federal government. Please join us this fall for our Big Tech webinar series. This series will run every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. You can find the registration links on our website under Big Tech. As always, these webinars are complimentary and recorded. We will cover the top 15 big tech companies who sell to the U.S. federal government. This includes household names like Amazon, Facebook, X, Salesforce, and more. We will dig into the data to look at lobbying dollars spent, their special interests, stock price, and how that intersects with their federal contracts. We will dissect their civilian versus defense contract as well as contract vehicle dollars to include GWACs and GSA schedules. We will also look at their subcontracting dollars. And a big thank you to our sponsors on the program, C3 Integrated Solutions and FedBiz Access. Don't miss out. This series is offering a unique sponsorship opportunity. We have heavily discounted this series to a rate of $1,500. This covers the entire series. Sponsor benefits include registration list, ample promo in our newsletter, and LinkedIn. You also get a sponsor side with a 100-word or less write-up about your business. If you are interested, please click on the sponsor link to place your order or send us an email to hello@jennifershouse.com if you have any questions. The Virginia Apex Accelerator at George Mason University offers free one-on-one counseling to established government contracting firms in Virginia on federal, state, and local procurement topics. If you are interested in learning more, please use the links provided to explore their services, review homework recommendations, register for live training, and find useful links to agencies and other self-directed learning. One-on-one counseling is limited to eligible client companies. Appointment requests are handled in the order they were received and based on counselor availability due to high demand. Online resources and group trainings are free with no restriction on business location. Now let's meet today's speaker. Please welcome Shirley Collier from Scale to Market to the webinar. She will cover the topic of M&A today. Shirley, we are so excited to hear your presentation. I will put myself on mute and turn the floor over to you. Please let me know when you would like to advance the next slide and I will advance them for you. And as discussed earlier, I will then jump back in to read the audience questions at the end. Thank you.
Thank you, Emma. Welcome, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. I am a serial tech entrepreneur who now helps small GovCon CEOs develop and execute strategic business development playbooks. Most GovCon CEOs want to cash out one day, but in the interim, they want to grow and create market value. And that's what we're talking about today. Whether you want to buy another small GovCon to grow or prepare your company for sale. I'd like to preface my comments by saying I am not an attorney, a banker, an accountant, or a broker. You will need all of those folks on your team. My perspective on mergers and acquisitions is from the business owner's perspective. How do you think about, plan, and take actions now that will help your business grow profitably in this very complex, highly regulated market? Okay, next slide, please. In terms of best practices, whether you are buying or selling, understand what constitutes value. There are different types of buyers who may value some factors over others. Most buyers are looking for a profitable stream of revenue, but I want to elaborate on some of the nuances that you as a business owner should consider. You will get more for your company if you're at the beginning of a multi-year contract than at the end of it. Set-aside contracts have less value because they can only be performed by similarly situated companies. Subcontracts have less value because the prime controls the contract. However, Tier 1 subs that bring unique experience or technology to a prime can sometimes fetch top dollars. Contracts and relationships at hard to penetrate agencies such as SOCOM and CMS are more valuable simply because of the effort and cost of entry into those accounts is very high. Companies that have intellectual property bring more value. IP can be software, other technology, or technologies and expertise. Next slide. Given our understanding of what creates market value, the second best practice is to start 3 to 5 years before you plan to exit. To start pursuing full and open contracts, which you can pursue as a small business. Sometimes there's a misunderstanding about that. Focusing on opportunities that have higher gross margins, developing agency relationships. Sometimes as a sub, you are blocked by the prime, and shoring up your key personnel. A buyer will want to see that you have a loyal, deep staff if you're in the services business, and the company consists of more than just the founder. Next slide. The third best practice is to identify intellectual property, which I alluded to before. It can be a technology you have developed, software, or business practices. Even the smallest of businesses, if they are successful, have probably developed business practices or approaches that distinguish them from their competitors. I always dig for this when I'm working with small businesses. Have you developed a problem-solving framework that is particularly effective in certain types of business units and federal agencies? For example, detecting fraud, improving customer service, or supporting decision-making? I love helping small GovCons analyze their knowledge, skills, and abilities to create value in the marketplace. Next slide. The fourth best practice is to shore up your infrastructure. Some small businesses make the mistake of drastically reducing overhead to make their profits appear larger, but you're not fooling anyone. Most buyers want to see and buy well-run businesses. They want to know that the books are accurate, contracts have been managed, regulations have been complied with, and employees, vendors, and taxes have been paid. They also want to see that you have a disciplined, effective business development function in your company that is independent of the individuals doing business development for you. Are opportunities identified, qualified, and pursued with a high win rate. What is your return on investment in business development dollars? Next slide. The last best practice is to be ready. Be vigilant of market forces on both the buy and sell side. Be open to conversations. I have a client who was approached by a buyer with a reasonable offer, but she turned it down, thinking that if she waited, she could get even more for her company. She worked for another 3 years. However, her largest contract was up for recompete, and the contracting office decided to move that work to a contract vehicle on which she was not a prime contractor. She ultimately ended up selling her business, but for $2 million less than the offer from 3 years prior. It was really heartbreaking. Okay, next slide. Avoiding pitfalls. You heard from the example I gave that timing is crucial. Even if you aren't personally ready, quote unquote, the market may be hot now. Having an ongoing relationship with a good investment banker or an M&A broker is very helpful. Next slide. The second pitfall is trying to do a transaction by yourself to save money. Unless you have experience buying and selling businesses, you will want to hire people that do that for a living. Good investment bankers, M&A attorneys, accountants, and wealth managers are worth their weight in gold. And what I didn't say earlier was that I have started, bought, and sold 4 businesses in the federal marketplace, so I understand the value of a good team. They can help you get top dollar for your business, stay out of legal trouble, and invest in your future. And it is very hard to sell a business when you're running it. A good team can also help you analyze, select, and integrate a small GovCon to buy as a growth strategy. The dirty little secret in M&A is that most acquisitions fail, but yours can be successful whether you are the buyer or the seller if you have the right people on your team. Okay, the third pitfall is not understanding or having a reasonable sale price for your company. Most of us think our businesses are worth more than they actually are because we know how much work went into building it. There are ways to structure a sale so you minimize taxes and have money to support your dreams, whatever they might be. A good financial planner can help you understand what is a good sale price for your company and how to invest the proceeds. A good CPA can advise you on deal structure and taxes. You might not need as much money as you think you do. Okay, last pitfall, or the fourth pitfall, as a small GovCon, is not pursuing full and open opportunities. If you have specialized technology, knowledge, or experience, there's no reason why you should not pursue full and open opportunities, especially in agencies where you are known and have past performance. Working with contracting offices to shape acquisition strategies is a maturation step for small GovCons. This includes moving opportunities out of the small business set-aside category into the full and open category. Full and open contracts have more market value than small business set-aside contracts. And the last pitfall is not investing in business development. And by this, I mean standing up a disciplined function in your business that is not dependent on one person, be that one person the CEO or a business development professional. Buyers want to see a well-managed going concern. They want to see a robust, realistic pipeline aligned with the company's strategic plan, thoughtful, consistent qualifying processes and decision-making criteria, and a high P-win. It's not volume that they're looking for, it is quality, high margin opportunities, solid teaming and client relationships, and ultimately the consistent ability to win and execute on profitable contracts. Okay, FAQs. The first one is, do subcontracts have any market value at all? And the answer is yes. And it depends. If your subcontract is for low margin staffing, there's probably not much value there. But if you have a unique ability, knowledge, relationships, and technologies as a tier 1 subcontractor with decent margins for which there is future demand, then yes, absolutely. The next FAQ is, do set-aside contracts have market value? They do, but only to companies that can perform on those contracts. So they have to be similarly situated, which limits your buyer pool. Ironically, small companies with 10 million or less in annual revenue are more likely to be acquired than small businesses that are greater than 20 million in small business contracts. And it's because of the price tag associated with larger small businesses. But that transaction can be complicated. A good broker and attorney can advise you on contract novation. Okay, the next FAQ is, what else can I do to make the transaction go smoother? Be organized. Surround yourself with a good team. And I mentioned this earlier, but it warrants repeating. Investment banker or broker, an M&A attorney, an accountant, a financial planner, and a good business development consultant who specialize in working with owners who are buying other small GovCons or cashing out. Fourth question, should I be concerned about post-transaction success? Yes, usually. Sometimes there's an earnout for the shareholders. As the founder or CEO, you may be required to hang around for a period of time post-transaction, and a portion of the sale price may depend upon the performance of your team after the transaction. I want to emphasize here that there are many options in deal structure. But my advice is to think hard and plan for post-transaction success, not only for yourself, but for your team, for your employees. There's not enough time today to discuss this very complex topic, but there are actions that you can take well before the merger, whether you are buying or selling, to ensure post-transaction success. And the last question is, where do likely buyers come from? Well, all over the place. They could be larger companies looking for specific skills, technologies, or relationships, or others who are trying to consolidate the market by rolling up a number of small businesses. I've seen that, particularly in areas of IT. There are retired executives looking for an encore to their careers by buying and growing a small GovCon. A good investment banker who is tuned into both buyers and sellers can help you make a good match. So this concludes my formal portion of the presentation. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Shirley. If anybody has any questions, please type them into the control panel. And I see we have some here, so I will start reading these off. Is the price of an acquisition or merger made public?
Typically not. If it is a private company, if it's a publicly held company that's doing the buying or selling, yes. But if it's private, no.
Okay. What is the least amount of money you have seen for an M or A, for a merger or acquisition?
In terms of sale price, for little tiny businesses, I have seen 500,000. 500,000 in cash, and then there's usually an upside stock portion of that, and bonuses and other things that happen post-transaction. But for a little tiny company, I have seen it as small as that. But the owner got significantly more over time because of the transaction.
Okay. Can you please define high win rate?
Oh, that's a good question. Industry average is about 20%. Unfortunately, this is among small GovCons. The goal is at least 40%. However, that can be very misleading because if you have a very high win rate, but you're not winning very many contracts, like if you have a 60% win rate, but the size of the contracts and the size of the margins is really small. So P-win is not the only financial factor that we look at to determine success and growth. But typically when I work with my clients, I try to aim for about 40%.
Okay, great. Looks like that's all the questions we have here. Thank you again, Shirley, for such a great presentation today. If you have any more
Pleasure.
questions, oh, thank you. Yes. If you have any more questions, please contact her using the information you see on your screen. And a big thank you for everyone joining us today. Please note that today's webinar can be found on our YouTube channel within 24 hours, and the slides, as mentioned, are always on our slideshare.net site. A friendly reminder, our Big Tech and Federal Contracting webinar series kicks off this fall. There are 15 webinars, 15 Wednesdays. All webinars are free to attend. Please take advantage of our heavily discounted sponsor rates to get in front of federal contractors, obtain registration list, and share a consistent message over the course of the 15 webinars. Again, thank you for attending today, and thank you, Shirley, for your awesome presentation. You can catch today's replay on YouTube, and if you are currently watching the YouTube video, please leave us a comment or like the video and subscribe to our channel. We'd love to hear from you. Okay, that's all for today. Thank you, Shirley, and thank you for everyone for joining us.
Thank you, Emma. Goodbye, everyone.